Today I want to speak about the Indigo, the Crystal Children and the Rainbow Children, and how they fit into you and how it affects spirituality and how it makes, and which one are you. So welcome back. Today I want to speak about the Indigo, the Crystal Children and the Rainbow Children, and how they fit into you and how it affects spirituality and how it makes, and which one are you, and how that can help you to translate forward. So please like, share and subscribe, because that kind of holistic we believe in, learning together and growing together in the sight of God. So let's just jump on this and let's get started with the Indigo Children, who were born, if you were born between the years of 1970 to 1990, you will fall under the Indigo Children. That's me. So the Indigo Children is a strong-willed, very focused, and the reason I have to be strong-willed is because when they come down, they are to break away from, or help spiritually or enlighten the next generation, which are the Crystal Children, about breaking away from mainstream faiths and learning for us to start looking at ourselves and start challenging ourselves in order for us to be better human beings. The other thing is also the biggest thing why God has sent down the Indigo Children with these characteristics is so that they can try now to start to work out and find a meaning of existence and learning to get closer to God. He's calling his children back, not to the end of time. He's calling them back to come and be with his flock. So that's why they have to be strong-willed, focused and determined in order to make sure that they don't be sidetracked away from what they see and believe and what they've done. So everything they've been through, they would have personally experienced, and everything they've passed on is everything that they've seen in spirit. They also come from another dimension. So what I want to say also about the Indigo Children is that they would have lived a life before, so they would have had a past life, and with that past life would have effects on this life. So that brings us to today, that they are free thinkers. They believe in really establishing, not just taking it the status quo from what our parents would have told us, because our parents would have just followed what their parents have told them. But we begin to start challenging, and we begin to say, well, why is it like that? Why do you believe that? And why is things not changing? And why is God perceived this way? And why, if that is the case, this happens? And it's all about having that question. When we start questioning is when we start seeking answers. When we get answers, that helps us get closer to the Creator. We're very headstrong, so anything that is being said and what we see, believe and receive it. That's why the law of attraction has come round. They brought back, or I should say revived, this new consciousness, as you can see from the days of Ra, when Ra spoke about it in I Am Ra. And he speaks about the transitions of the awakening of God's people and our own consciousness moving to from high consciousness to our own consciousness on this planet, making ourselves come self-aware of us today. So the other thing is, well, they're really passionate about what they do, and they're passionate no matter what kind of work they do, what kind of information they come across, or whether they're just doing something for charity. They get really involved in it, and in some ways they learn from the past and what hasn't worked. So for example, they wouldn't necessarily go and have a run on the government or run on this person or be a certain way. It doesn't make them weak, but what they know is that if they start to have debates, they start to talk, they start to share, they start to break away from that conveyor belt which our parents would have had, and been taught and believe, and they had to believe in some ways. Not saying that they were any or weak or anything like that. It was just because that's how they were brought up in that time. But this time we are learning to question. We are learning to find judgment. We are learning to understand why we are the way we are, and why do we face these situation. Why is the world and why is Gaia in a state, or in some ways not so much in a state, but in a way of going through self-healing, and we need to help the crystal children prepare for that. That's why the indigo children have come, in order to make that transition as smooth as possible, so you get them to be healers, tarot readers, empaths, transformation coaches. All these people, they're very tapped into their emotions. They're very focused upon the emotions and what they can do to help Gaia and God's existence, and also to help you in for the next generation. The other thing is, what is important as well, they want to save and help the world. So that's why you saw these rebirths of the Black Lives Matters, for example, Greenpeace, saving the animals. You see a lot more children's rights, gay rights. All these things are coming up. It's not because the world's got mass hysteria. It's because the world now, in the Indigo's generation, is all about giving people free speech and free rights to make their own decisions and choices. And with that, to make mistakes, because we're going to make mistakes. We always make mistakes. The thing is to learn from it, and we can't keep going on blaming and focusing and saying about what's happened in the past. We need to look about what's going on now and what's going to happen for the crystal children and the children generation after the crystal children, because when they come along, it will explain a lot more why I've just said what I said when I speak about the crystal children when they appear. So the other point is as well, they have great personalities, strong personalities. Their personalities will be infectious. They'll become motivational speakers. They'll be about being coaches. They'll be counselors. They'll be social workers. They'll be care workers. This is why you've seen this big shift with consciousness, and this is why the world has gone through this pandemic, because there's been this big shake up of consciousness shift. And when all this is taking place, the creator said this is about bringing consciousness, or raising our consciousness to the next level, and this is what's going on at the moment. And because of all this, the indigo children are very creative, so they use their creativity in order to make things a lot stronger, in order to make the changes happen, in order to focus upon the transition, and to make smooth running of this planet and this dimension right for the crystal children. And this is so important, that even, for example, with the rainbow children, there is this strong affiliation about working together to make these changes happen, not to cause violence. In fact, you would find that a lot of the indigo children will move away from violence because they don't like confrontation. They don't like violence, so they'll be moving on because they've seen it in the past. As I said before, they've recognized what's not happened, what's not worked, and what has worked. So they're looking at these different things to say, okay, we need to change things now in order to move forward. Also, the indigo children are very good at communicating with animals. So you find the animals will naturally be drawn to them. I can tell you, whenever I go to any zoo, or I'll be to any on the street, when I think dogs just attach themselves to me. I grew up with no animals apart from a cat, but the thing is like these indigo children have this affinity with saving animals, and that's why you're seeing a lot of suicides, in a way, that they'll jump into the river to save their animals, because they have that common bond, and they don't look at their dogs or the cats or anybody like that, or any animal like that, as a animal. They look at them as members of their family. But in the older generation, you probably would have found that they were just a companion or they were just a dog, and life. But the Indigo children, look at life is precious. Every life is precious. The other thing is, well, they're ball leaders. They don't control. They are ball leaders. They like to make sure that everything is just so everything is moving in the right direction. The good, they're moving to positions of power. So this is why now, any moving forward, you've seen a shift in America, for example, with Obama becoming president. You've seen the movement with the light being shone on slavery and black lives. You've seen the gay community being the light being shone on that. Also, and all these other factors that are coming up within the last 10-15 years because of the shift with the Indigo children and the appearance of the Indigo children within that time. And because they're so sensitive, they would just naturally be good to work with, and they'd be good to sense what Mother Earth wants. They want to know what Gaia wants. Gaia is Mother Earth. So what the Indigo children would do once they appear, they would work in order to try and establish good communications with each other and work together. That's why you see these links with other countries, and why things like the media, the internet, YouTube, all these Instagram, Facebook, all these things appeared out of nowhere, because these Indigo children are about information and communication. This is why we've had this technology shift, where the last boom was industrial, where it was very much about the conveyor belt. This time it's about communication and feeling, visual, being able to have that communication with the individual. And that's the Indigo children. What I would like to do now is speak about the Crystal children. Now the Crystal children, they would be born from 1990 to 2000. So there's a 10-year gap where they're born within. Now these individuals again will be born at that time, and they would have had past lives, and their past lives would obviously affect their lives in this time when they've come back down. Now they've come down in order to carry on the flame and be taught by the Indigos, and also by the ones before the Indigos have appeared. Now with the Crystal children, they are very very astute, and they are nobody's fool. And you can almost give a crystal child a phone or anything technology, with technology. You can give them they're really good at problem solving. They will be able to sort that problem out without a doubt within record time. And that's what's really powerful and what's really insightful about these individual beings. And these Crystal children. The other thing is, well, they don't like lies, and they don't like backstabbers, people that always seem to just be dodging and saying one thing and saying another. So they're not a lover of politicians, they're not a lover of fake politicians if they find that they don't feel they can trust them. They don't but they also become very loyal, and they will be loyal to people who are very open and very honest, because you find a crystal child, as like a crystal, is very open and very honest and very to the point, and they don't care about how they say it. It's just got to land for the way they have it intended for it to land. The other part about them, they know what their worth is, and they don't like being told what to do. And when I say they don't know what to do, they know their own mind, so they know what's right and wrong before they even arrive there. Society or parents always seems to re-establish it again and remind the crystal child about what it is. And in sometimes you would find these little kids talking to the parents like they're little madams or little sirs, and they're very like, no, but I believe it's blah blah blah. And that's the way these crystal children have come down, very very assertive and very very focused. They have to be, because the crystal is clear and also very powerful. That goes on to my next point about them being very sensitive. They are so sensitive. They will pick up on a situation. They will be on a more high frequency of empaths. They will be able to just connect with animals. They'll be able to connect with other people that they've never met. They will be also using telepathy, and when they use telepathy, they will be able to obviously communicate on another vibration, which we indigos will be able to sense, but necessarily won't really understand because they have a unwritten rule within themselves. The other part is that this is probably one of the biggest tropes about the crystal children. They move around a lot. They move homes a lot. They move jobs a lot. You know, pre-Indigo, so pre-1970s, before that it was a job for life and home for life. Now, Indigos move around a lot, but the crystal children are going to be like kibbutzing everywhere. There'll be hot desking, job-wise, and that's why you find the next generation are going to do a lot more, not office based. They're going to be more out within the industry or out in the community. The other part to this is where this whole information and technology comes in. This is a massive part of the crystal children and the indigos being able to communicate on that level on a day-to-day basis. This is why the indigos have obviously set up things like the Facebook, Instagram, and so on and so forth. The other part is, well, they're natural psychics, so they will be able to just pick up a tarot card, or they will be able to sit down with somebody and just go, look, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I know what's going on with you, this is what needs to be done. And they do they say it so clearly, they are natural beings in pure light, almost, even though they've lived before. And the final point I wanted to make out about the crystal children is that they have strong, meaningful relationships and friendships. So when you mate with somebody or you meet with somebody, and whether they're your friend or not, they have a tendency to just stay with you, and honesty between each other is really strong. I know some indigos who are good friends with, because you got some indigos who are on a cusp of the indigo line, and then you got the crystals that come in that are quite obviously who are a bit older, and they are like talking and they are good friends, and it's interesting to see how that relationship plays out. When we're together, you find the crystal child with my friend who's a indigo would be kind of more blunt, and the indigo would always say to me, you know, well, X, Y, and Z, I don't really like how they said that, because no, they don't beat around the bush, because it's about being pure. And so the indigos have learning from obviously the crystal children have learned from the indigos, because we obviously have set the path for them to move forward. But now I'd like to talk about the rainbow children, which have not lived on a planet before. It doesn't mean they're not created, they have been created, they just haven't lived in this dimension. So they come with a powerful energy. They have essence of the indigo and the crystal. Now these rainbow children can come during the time of the indigos and can come in the times of the crystal. They're not bound by any one of them, just by birth date. And when they come, they're very they have a different perception of things. So the best way to explain it, I don't know if you've seen the movie Splash, where this lady comes out, he's a mermaid, and she comes to New York, and she basically lives as a human. And what it is, she lives the way humans does, and she literally takes it for what it is, and also goes down to the store and learns English on TV and all this stuff. It's a good movie to watch. That's the best way to explain almost like what a rainbow child is. There's no preconception of a rainbow child. So the rainbow child have come from different dimensions. At the moment, we are probably in the third or fourth dimension. We're going into the fifth. They could come from either the first or the second, or they could have come from the ninth or 10th and return back. And they do, and this has been prophesied and spoken about many times throughout the times where the Book of Ra, he mentions about these rainbow children appearing and coming from a different dimension, and he is more than likely be one of them. And because these individuals and these children are not bound by the dogmatic life experiences that we indigos or crystal children have had, because they have only their existence within the other dimensions, and these other dimensions are far different to ours. Could be more advanced, could be more primitive, but either way they're here to teach us indigos and crystals what it's about. So how do you know if you're one? If you feel that you don't fit in, if you feel that you are you don't have past memories. Now a lot of the crystal and indigos always seem to have dreams or have memories from a former life. If you have not had that, which is rare you find a rainbow child, if you've not had memories or feel that you've lived here before, then you're more than likely to be a rainbow child. Now there's no one better than anybody. It's all about being a part of the power of three. The indigo, the crystal and the rainbow, they all come together, and it's all about raising our consciousness, as I said before, to return back to God the Creator. So I hope that's helped. Please like, share and subscribe, and if you've got any comments, and if you've got any bit of advice you want me to delve a bit more into, for example the indigo children or the crystal or even rainbows, I could do a video on that. Obviously just leave your comments below, and I'll see you on the next video. Look, you stay safe and stay blessed, and eternal love and eternal flame. Namaste.